Hello and welcome to this episode of Peak Life. Today we're talking about lead pipes with Public Utilities Director David Jurgens. David, thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
So we have a lot of projects going on in the city, and a lot of them are replacing lead pipes. When you hear about lead pipes, it can sound kind of scary. But explain to me where the lead pipes are, how they affect drinking water, that kind of thing.
So we'll talk about our lead pipes that we have in the city. First of all, though, I'll get right to Flint. Let's talk about Flint, what happened there. Flint had lead water lines in their system. They had lead water service lines on the city side and on the customer side. But the problem in Flint wasn't because of the pipes that they had. It was a problem that occurred in their water treatment process. They changed their water treatment source. And when they did that, they did not put in a key chemical that helps keep the lead in those pipes from leaching out of the pipe and leaching into the water. Now that chemical is called zinc orthophosphate. It's one of the two that works. We use zinc orthophosphate in our water treatment process all the time, and we test throughout our system for lead in the pipes, or for lead in the water, and we don't get lead in the water because we use that zinc orthophosphate in our treatment process. So the problem that occurred there can't occur here. Because we prevent that from happening. So theirs was actually a water treatment problem. Not, and that caused a problem downstream at the customer's houses. And it was a very real problem, absolutely a very real problem. Should never have occurred. But here in Chesapeake, we recognize that the source, what caused the lead, the source of the lead was those lead service lines, and we want to get them out. Even though we know that it doesn't cause lead into the houses because we sample them. So we test for the lead and it's not there because it stays in the pipe. It doesn't come out and get into the water because of the zinc orthophosphate that we have.
And that sampling piece that you discuss is really important, and you have folks doing it regularly, and you do it on the city side, but you're also doing it out of someone's faucet.
That's exactly right. We do it on both the city side sampling as well as these samples for lead. We take those samples inside the homes. So it's the actual tap water that comes out of the tap in the kitchen sink. So we know that the lead isn't there. But it's still best to get rid of the source of the problem. So yes, as you mentioned at the beginning, we have several projects that we're doing, and we have ongoing program that we'll be doing to replace not only the service lines that are lead, but also to replace the mains in the street, because these only occur in the really older parts of our system, the older parts of the city. So for example, we have a project going around Buchanan, Poindexter, some of that area, north of the South Norfolk Library, a few blocks north of the neighborhood adjacent and north of there, where we're replacing both the water mains as well as the city side of the service lines, which some of them are probably lead. We don't know until we dig a hole in the ground. We actually dug one up and checked, and it was copper. It had already been replaced. We're not sure when. It may have been replaced back in the 60s. We're not sure when that occurred. So we don't know. It's kind of like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get until you dig it up and look at it.
Now, are the lead pipes the only ones you're replacing right now, or when you find a copper, do you just replace it too?
No, we will only replace those that need to be replaced, but anything that's lead, we will replace. So we're doing the mains as well as the service lines on the city side, plus we've obtained a $500,000 grant from the health department so that customers can replace the customer side that will be at no cost to the customer.
That's a big deal, and I think that's often a confusing point for people that when it comes to both water and sewer, anything that is from the end of the city line to your house, that's your responsibility normally. So what a great opportunity for some folks who can get that extra money to replace those.
And not only does the customer own that, it is illegal for us to spend utility funds to work on that private side. So the way it works is just going through the water system. Let's say that my left hand over here is the water main. And that's where the pipes come, or the water comes through down the streets, from the plant down the streets to where the service line, and we'll call my arm the service line from the main, and my head can be the water meter.
Got it.
On this side, we've got this customer's private service line that goes over to the house. So the main, generally in the street, the meter, the house, and these two arms are the water service lines. So the city side and the private side. Some of both of those are lead. And again, we don't know for sure until we dig holes in the ground.
Yeah.
So we want to replace the whole service line. This one through our construction projects, this one the customer replacing via that grant at no cost to the customer. That way the whole line the whole system can be replaced all the way to the house.
Okay.
And they'll have new pipes in the streets, new service lines on the city side, new service line on the customer side going to the house. We don't go into the house, we stop this just outside the foundation.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Let's do a little show and tell here. This is wild and weird looking.
So
tell me what we're looking at.
This is a line that counts as a lead service line. So the water main would be over here. And this is what's called a lead gooseneck. This is where it would plug into the water main. The water would come through this pipe, and this gets it out of the main into what is then a galvanized service line, which counts as lead. This is made of galvanized cast iron pipe, or galvanized iron pipe. Galvanized iron, galvanized steel. It can be either one.
Okay.
And then it would go to the water meter on the far end. And then it would turn into the customer service line, where they're likely, in this case, to have another galvanized pipe, but they might have another lead section coming out of the service line, or out of the meter box, out of the meter.
Okay.
The reason lead pipe was used so much is because it's so easy to work. You can bend it. It's heavy. Let's go ahead and lay this one down. It's heavy. If you want to do exercises.
Yeah, great.
But guys in the field could take this and bend this like you can see.
Really?
They could bend it so that it could get the exact alignment we needed for the pipe.
Wow.
That way it was very, very easy to work with. Water would flow through. And it was easy to melt connections on, like they did this one. You could do it with a flame out in the field. And you could just make it work. It worked really, really well. It was great to work with. And it wasn't expensive, so it met all the requirements, except they didn't realize that it had potential health impacts.
So what do we use now?
So what we use now is generally copper pipe.
Okay.
In some cases, we'll use plastic.
Wow.
We'll use PVC, we'll use polyethylene plastic, or copper.
Okay.
We always use copper on the city side going to the service lines. It is also very workable. And again, it appears to not have, in this case, any public health impacts from the copper service lines.
Are they always this size? This seems like such a skinny pipe. I'm thinking about, how much water I use in the sink or something. Is it always this big? This serves my house?
So that really is a great question, because most folks have no idea just how big or how small these pipes are.
Yeah.
Most water services that serve an individual home will go from 5/8 inch diameter on the inside up to 3/4 of an inch diameter.
Wow.
So they're not very big, but they'll get plenty of water. We can flow 10 gallons a minute, 12 gallons a minute through the service lines with almost no problem. And I say almost. In most cases, no problem whatsoever.
Yeah. Now, is there, a date that we can say, if you have a home in a neighborhood that was built after a certain date, then you probably don't have to worry about this?
So, yes.
Okay.
Our oldest employees that we've talked to that worked in our business remember that we stopped using lead in the 60s.
Okay.
And we haven't found where any lead has been installed after the late 60s.
Okay.
Now, by federal law, it was stopped being used in 1986.
Oh, wow.
But we stopped using it a long time before that.
Okay. All right.
Most of the lead pipes that we find are in homes that are built in homes with water systems that were built. And that's an
Yeah.
important distinction.
Yeah.
With water systems that were built in the 20s, 30s, and 40s,
Oh, wow.
that's where we find most of our lead pipes.
Okay. Which makes sense why most of these projects are happening in our older portion of South Norfolk.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Even in some of those neighborhoods that were built in the 50s, we didn't find lead pipes in most of those. But it's possible that we would find them. And we might find them more on the customer side. It was legal to use lead than in the plumbing code. So we might find different characteristics on the customer side than we do on the city side.
All right. Now, we're not talking sewer pipes today, but if we were, those are bigger, right?
That's correct.
I'm just kind of fascinated by this. I think it's really valuable for people to actually see what is underneath their front yard.
So had I known that you were going to ask that question, I'd have brought a sewer pipe with me too.
Next time we're doing that.
I probably would have brought one that had never been used.
That'd be
They're
kind of
a
you.
little cleaner. but a sewer pipe is about 4 inches in diameter, so a little bit bigger than my fist.
Okay.
So your sewer pipe, 4 inches in diameter. Your water line, 3/4 of an inch in diameter.
Wow.
But this one, the water line is under pressure, so it pushes the water through. Our
Oh.
system, our water towers, which you climbed with me a few weeks ago.
Yes.
Our water towers create the pressure that pushes the water through to the homes, and that's why a smaller pipe will work, because it's always being pushed.
Gotcha.
Whereas the sewer line, it just sits there until something causes water to flow through it, so it's a gravity system.
That's what we call sewer gravity.
Yeah, exactly.
I learned so much every
It's
time
not
you
that it's
come
heavy,
by.
because the lead's pretty heavy.
Yeah, yeah. Anything else we need to discuss about these lead pipes?
So we are systematically going through the areas where we have older water mains, and we're trying to incorporate replacing lead service lines with every project we do. And there's some cases where those projects may be sewer projects.
Okay.
So we may be replacing sewer line, but when we replace a sewer line going down the street, the water line's over here in the same street. So the services that go from that water line over to the houses on this side of the street will be exposed as we're digging up the sewer line. We'll see those pipes.
Gotcha.
If we see any lead pipes in those circumstances, we're replacing them.
Might as well while you're in there.
While we got a hole in the ground,
Yeah.
let's go ahead and we find it, we fix it, we eliminate it and make it go away, and we never have to deal with it again.
Great.
So anytime we're doing construction and find a lead pipe, we are replacing said lead pipe, whether it's sewer construction or water construction. And
Okay.
we're adding that into our contracts.
Great.
We are also applying, because it takes a while to get those grant funds, we're applying for another grant to be a successive grant in addition to that first $500,000 we got from the health department. So we can have a follow-on grant where we can make this a continuous process for the customer side.
Well, I know our residents definitely appreciate that. And, you know, when you are doing work in their neighborhoods, you're in touch with them, you're going to let them know when we're going to tear up your street and when we're going to turn your water off.
We do flyers,
so be
we do
aware.
neighborhood meetings,
Great.
and yeah, we have at times gone door to door to let folks know we'll never shut the water off on a planned shut off until we go door to door and post notices to everybody at the door.
Great.
So, yeah.
David Jurgens, Public Utilities, thank you so much
My pleasure.
for this lesson. Good stuff, and we appreciate all the work you and your folks are doing.
The troops are doing the work, and they're
Great.
getting it done.
Thank
Troops out there in the field.
That does it for this episode of Peak Life. Thank you so much for watching.